Let's allow this to be able to play on out. Let's see if we can rip here, guys. Here, great squeeze, traders. Great squeeze. We just hit the VWAP. Watch our potential pullback area. We want to see if we can break this area. We're up $815 now. Let's see if we can get a nice dip, a nice squeeze and spike all the way on up and keep on ripping here. We are getting ourselves ready to go on this Thursday morning. Yes, traders, it's Thursday. We are here showing up every single day. Deck, do you ever take a day off? No. Deck, do you ever leave that room? No. Do you have any friends, social life, anything? No, I don't. So ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about it all today, right now. How are we going to be coming out on top? How are we going to keep this insane win rate percentage sky high? How are we going to make sure that we all leave today with a big bucket of profits? Because that's what I want, guys. I want you guys hauling it out of here like you're walking out of the coal mines. Hauling out the money. Today I got a plan. I got a great idea. Got some great charting. Got some great breakdowns. Got some great technical analysis. So traders, let's talk about how much money we can make, where this profit's going to be coming from, making sure every single trader is dialed in on this day. So how is today shaping up? How is today looking at this moment? And yes, good morning, everybody. Good morning, if I could add it. I absolutely love seeing all the shiny smiling faces today. So what do we have going on with this day? S&P 500. Let's talk about it. The SPY, the top 500 companies in the United States, guys, has been getting absolutely dominated at this moment. It is falling and fading and dropping, and we have now had 1, 2, 3, 4 going on 5 red days in a row. This would be our 5th red day in a row if we close underneath wherever we open, let's say the price of 502. The S&P 500, traders, this is getting a little concerning at this point. Are we going to start fading and falling and dropping and start going into full-on panic mode? Right now, fear is high. Why is fear high? Because people are nervous about what's going to happen with interest rates. People are nervous about what's going to happen with inflation. People are nervous. Is there going to be some sort of upcoming recession? People are nervous. The stock market is starting to crash. People are nervous. They don't know what to do with their money. People are getting fearful. People are getting nervous. People are asking themselves, what is the correct move here? What is the right move? What should I be doing to make sure that I am being as smart as I can with my profits, with my investments? And if the S&P 500 starts cracking underneath 500, we can go on full-on panic mode. So when I'm taking a look at the SPY here, traders, what do I want to realize? The SPY has been falling for the last 4 days now. I can easily tell, just like you guys can, that we have very strong resistance at the price of 503, 503, 503, 503, top resistance at around 503, then at some top resistance at around that 502.60 mark. At this moment, what I would do if I were you is I would put some sort of uptrend. This uptrend is going to most likely be the best bounce area for us to be able to get involved, for us to be able to make a nice profit. I would like to get some sort of dip buy underneath 501.2. But I am interested. I am looking for basically jump in, and one of two things happen. I'll tell you guys right now before the day even begins. One of two things I'm looking for today. Number one, I jump in, I make over $2,000 in profit. That's usually where I always like to say, hey, you know what? Excellent day. I'm happy with that. Over $2,000 in profit. When I jump in and hold calls, let's just run that on up. Or we again continue to hold into tonight, into tomorrow. I think the S&P 500 is due for a dip buy. I think it is due for a bounce fly. We can take a look at the daily chart here and we can realize something very significant. What I can see is even when we have strong green stretches, we have green day, green day, green day, we have a red day. Notice we have green day, green day, green day, green day, then we have 2 red days. Then we have green day, green day. You know, the thing is when we go on very big stretches to the upside, that's fantastic and that's absolutely awesome. But even with the big stretches, we always have red days in the mix. And guess what, guys? When we have very big red stretches and we start fading and falling, there will always be green days thrown into the mix. So that's not like we're always going to have straight green and we're not always going to have straight red. We are going to always have a mixture. And sometimes we will see the red days bigger than the green or the green days bigger than the red, but we will always get some sort of area that is pullbacks because we're too overbought, or we're going to get dip buys because we're too oversold. And right now I do think the S&P 500 is getting to a point that it's getting oversold on this week. Not overall. I do think the S&P 500 will continue to fall. I do think that the S&P 500 will continue to get weak. I do think the S&P 500 will continue to drop. But at the same time, guys, I do think that traders may say to themselves, hey, we just fell from record highs all the way on down towards the price of 500. Hey, let's look for a dip buy right next to 500. So I would not be surprised in any way if this one starts fading and falling here, if this one starts, dropping. So over on S&P 500 here today, we are looking for this dip buy and bounce. Remember, my target area, my goal here over on the S&P 500 is I do want to be able to kind of follow out this channel, this little, triangle setup. I think it's going to be something along this region where we will get a little bit of a dip buy and a bounce play back underneath 501, consolidate until probably like 10 o'clock, and then squeeze back on up towards around 503. Now, let's play devil's advocate. Let's just say, hey, you know what? What happens if we fall? What happens if we fade? What happens if we go underneath 500 again? If we go underneath 500 again, I'm just being honest with you, we could see full-on panic mode. We could get very weak. We could go to 498, 497, 496. This market has been fading. This market has been falling. We are trying to do something a little bit more tricky today, which is time the market. Time in the market for a dip buy. Time timing the market for a bounce play. So let's talk about the pros. Let's talk about the cons about it. So what are the cons about trying to time the market and trying to guess that today is going to be the dip buy? Well, the cons are, you would say, Deck, why would you not just keep doing put contracts? Obviously, the S&P 500 has a lot of room to continue to fall. If it cracks 500, we can get weaker and weaker. Over the last 5 days now, we've been on one big downtrend. We can see that this market is now underneath the 13 EMA and 50-day moving average. Yesterday, tech sector in the S&P 500 fell 1.7%. We know that there's a lot of negative momentum. It's going to be very tough to change that. I agree 100%. But the pros about that is stock trading is a game of opposites. When everyone says, hey, keep selling, 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 it's usually the best time to buy. When everyone says buy, 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 it's usually the best time to sell. The best way to think about this, guys, is usually when I think about like GameStop, when I think about Bitcoin, when I think about these type of investments. When people say, hey, GameStop, we're at 480 right now. Don't worry, you're early. We're going up to 20,000. It crashes and everyone loses all their money. Bitcoin right now, 74,000. Oh man, you guys are so, guys, $1 million coming up next year. Get in early. You guys are set back on down to 60,000. You know, the thing is, it's like, you know, whenever everyone says that we're early, you still have more to go, you guys are fine, it's usually time to be able to get out of that play. You know, it's a great way to gauge it. It's the same exact thing when everyone says recession's about to happen, recession's coming, a recession's about to happen right here, right now. It's usually a time that people are going to start getting in on dip buys. So, you know, it almost is when you see chaos in one side, usually go to the opposite side, because we already know 80% of stock traders end up losing. So why the heck would we want to listen to what the majority does? We want to be doing what the 20% does, the top 10%, the top 2%. We want to be getting involved on these plays with the best opportunity to profit, the best opportunity for us to be able to make some money. So with the SPY today, I would love to see a pullback, get filled, get a dip buy, and be able to make some cash. Most likely, I will not be trading the SPY. I'll be trading SPX. SPX is the play that I like to get involved in. So really, guys, our target today, before we start this day off whatsoever, our target today is to make over $2,000 in profit. After we reach our target, we'll be all set, ready to go. But let's do everything we can to be able to say to ourselves, let's get this nice profit. Let's get this nice gain. Give it a little bit of time to fall. Give it a little bit of time to tank. Give it a little time to be able to get weak. And we know that the S&P 500 has been falling and dropping for the last 4 days in a row. We basically want to see this all the way back on down towards around 500. So when I take a look over on this chart right here, I could see that the SPY faded and fell, 2 days ago. I could see that we had consolidation yesterday. I could see that yesterday was a large sell-off. We're going to be looking for a dip buy and bounce play back on down towards around these bottoms, 530, 540. We need to see about a $1.50 drop, and then we're going to pull the trigger. Now, what you also need to realize, team, for those who do not know, and for those who have not seen this yet, you can go back into a 15-minute time frame, just like I am in right now, is that if you extend the 15-minute time frame, you guys are going to see exactly where you need to be able to get in and out of this play. Notice the S&P 500, 503 main resistance at this time. So when you guys take a look over on the S&P 500, you guys can see bounce play, bounce play, bounce play, bounce play, bounce play. Then you guys can see top resistance, top resistance. 503 is going to be very strong top resistance area. So please make sure that you guys are fully aware of that 503 mark. But that's like the ultimate goal that we want to get. We want to get about a $1 drop all the way down towards low 500s, get filled, and then be able to make our big money. We got the SPY continuously fading and falling here. I'm going to look to probably DCA, aka dollar cost average, as we get on down towards like 560s. That's kind of where I want to start getting involved on this play. 540s, 510, maybe do 3 contracts, 3 contracts, 3 contracts, and be able to make the most amount of money that way. S&P 500 still getting weaker, still dropping, still fading, still getting ugly. Guys, we're almost there, guys. First entry going in right now for, again, the possible dip buy. Just got filled at 560s first entry. I am looking to be able to get filled near some bottom dip areas, to be able to get filled near, again, some areas that I think that, we could get some great bouncing off of. Keep going lower. I'm going to look to be able to jump in right now again. Dollar cost averaging, getting in on 6 contracts at this moment now. So I'm in at this, overall kind of bottom area is what I'm looking for. Now, again, I'm looking for the dip buy and looking for the bounce play coming up in the near future here. We just came all the way on down towards 500. So far, let's recap here because there's a lot happening at this time. What's going on, Deck? What's going on is we just fell from 502, fell on down towards 501. I had my first entry right here. This orange line represents my first entry. This orange line represents my second entry. My cost basis is now going to be this line, which I'm going to put into blue. That's where I need to get above to start getting myself into the profit. I do think today is going to be a day that the S&P 500 is going to look to be able to find some sort of bottom and try to bounce back on up towards 503 today. Look to bounce back on up towards around 502 today. Look to bounce back on up towards, again, some potential high areas. That's what I think after 4 days in a row of falling. But the thing is, traders, at this moment, I am looking to try to get in near bottoms. I waited. Now I'm filled. I didn't jump in yesterday. I didn't jump in the day before. 554. I didn't jump in at 509. I didn't jump in at 506. I didn't jump in at 504. I'm in at 535. I think that's an amazing entry for me now to sit back to say, hey, you know what? Let's allow this to be able to play on out. Deck, is there an opportunity that this could go lower? Absolutely, guys. This is the stock market, baby. Absolutely, it could go lower. Absolutely, this could get weaker. Let's just be honest here. But we have to, again, realize, all right, hey, let's be as smart as we can with these plays. So I'm actually going to add a little bit more if we go on down towards, again, 499.60 and keep on, again, DCAing and be able to get, the best entry possible for me to be able to get filled on these for us to be able to get that bounce play back on up. Now I'm looking to get back on up to my overall blue line, which will put myself in the profit. Trying to get our first dip buy of the day. I think we are going to have to be, pretty patient on this and allow this, market to be able to do what it wants. Can we get that move? Can we get that rip and run? We're almost back into the green now. Guys, now we're going back into the green here. Guys, we are now in the green on this trade. Let's see if we're going to be able to get a nice dip buy and bounce play and now be able to squeeze our way on up. We're now up $400 on the day. Let's see if we can get a nice dip, a nice squeeze and spike all the way on up and keep on ripping here. Can we be able to break out and run on up towards the VWAP? This is the next move here. Guys, now we're trying to get that break. Let's see if we can rip here, guys. Here, great squeeze, traders. Great squeeze, up $600 now. We're up $815 now. Guys, great squeeze. Congratulations on your squeeze, everyone. We're up $1,300 now. We just squeezed all the way up to the VWAP. Currently up $1,200 at this moment. We just hit the VWAP. Watch our pullbacks, though. We just hit the VWAP. Watch our potential pullback area. We want to see if we can break this area. See if we break that VWAP and start ripping and running. Keep on climbing even higher back above that 501 mark. That VWAP does make me a little bit scared because we usually see pullbacks after VWAP areas. Traders, right now at this moment, we got 580 looking for this rip and run. Currently up $1,000 at this moment. I'm going to take my gains just to be smart and I'll jump back in. Made nearly $1,000. Let's take a second and do a recap here together. How did I do this, Deck? How did you be able to predict the stock market so perfectly? What we have on our trade here today is we have the S&P 500. The S&P 500, step by step on how you can be able to predict the stock market. Number one is that the SPY had 5 red days in a row. We have been falling, fading, falling, and dropping, right? Every single day. Now, with that being stated, you must realize that we have a very strong natural support line. What is that very strong natural support line? $500. There is a huge part of trading, and it's psychology. If you can study psychology and understand where other hedge funds, where other big investors, where brokers, where companies, where market makers, where algorithms are going to push up plays, you are going to be able to understand the market and be able to make a lot of money. Why do stocks go up? Very simple question. Why do stocks go up? Because people buy them. Why do stocks go down? Because people sell them. So if I could be able to figure out where everyone in the world is looking to buy, and I can figure out where everyone in the world is looking to sell, I'm going to be able to be ahead of the curve, because I know right here that if everyone is buying at a certain area, that's where I want to get involved in, because I'm going to be able to make a lot of cash. So when I take a look over on the S&P 500 right here, team, and I say, it looks like the S&P 500 has been crashing the last few days. It looks like the S&P 500 has fallen all the way from a record high all the way on down towards 500. Hey, yesterday we saw a big bounce play off 500. 4 or 5 days in a row of red in this very hot market. I think people are probably going to keep looking for these bounce plays off 500. So all that I did today was I said, no one jump in, everyone sit back, everyone stay smart until we get down towards 500. And when we get near 500, let's DCA, aka dollar cost average, because there's no 100% certainties in the stock market. So I had 3 different entries over on my trade. I got filled at 9:35 in 58 seconds, got filled on 3 contracts. I got filled at 9:36 in 55 seconds, got filled on 3 contracts. Got filled at 9:39 and I got filled on 1 contract at the bottom. And these entries, as you guys know and as you guys saw, I got filled at 555. That was my first entry. I got filled at 540. This was my second entry. And then I got into my last entry underneath 500. This brought my cost basis, 3 contracts, 1 contract, to right around that 540 mark. So I always try to get filled on 3 different entries to try to have the best opportunity of getting filled at the best area. So for instance, if I got filled at 560 and the market just started moving on up from there, great, I'm filled. It's only 3 contracts, but at least I'm filled. Then as we dropped on down, guess what happened? I got filled again. This brings my average to the middle of this channel. I got filled at 560, got filled at 535. Now my average is going to be right around 548. right in that middle area. Then I got filled another contract right next to 500, and this brought my average even a little bit lower. So now we got that perfect bounce off 500 and we started moving ourselves on up, and we were able to make that easy, predictable profit. Now traders, you might say, well Deck, why not just wait until you go down to 500? 500 was the perfect dip buy. Well, in the S&P 500 and how big this is and how active it is, there's no guarantee we're actually going to hit 500. There has been many times in my trading career that I say, hey everyone, let's go after this play, let's jump in on it at 500, and we hit 520 and we miss it because it goes on a big time spike. Has anyone here ever had a set dip buy, said I'm going to jump in at this dip buy area, and then all of a sudden it goes right above it and then shoots its way on up? Has anyone ever done that before? And you say, how did I miss out on that play? So that's why we have to dollar cost average. We have to basically scale in on this play. We get filled, then we get filled, then we get filled, so we just never miss the dip buy. Because I would have been extremely mad if I said, you know what, I'm gonna do a dip buy at 499.60, and then guess what, I missed out on that whole entire move. Now I'm looking to get back on up. We're almost back into the green now. Currently up 1200 at this moment. See if we break that VWAP and start ripping and running, keep on climbing even higher back above that 501 mark.